Окей, друзья, мы будем начинать. Пожалуйста, занимайте ваши места. Напомню, что если вам нужен переводчик, у нас есть замечательная Марго. Марго, подними руку, пожалуйста. Маргарита, подними руку, пожалуйста. Вот есть Марго, садитесь ближе к ней. У нее очень приятный голос, и она очень хорошо переводит. Да. Так что подсаживайтесь поближе. Друзья, рад вас видеть. Рад видеть тех, кто еще подошел к нам. У нас сегодня будет интересное событие, уникальное событие. Специально к нам приехал спикер, который американец наполовину британец и проживает в Польше. Мы организовываем этот воркшоп для IT-комьюнити отчасти, но я рад, что сегодня есть много из тех, кто впервые с нами. И я хочу рассказать о проекте, который мы делаем, немного пару слов сказать о том, кто мы и зачем это делаем. Меня зовут Антон, я руководитель IT Clubs Project. Это проект, который объединяет независимые сообщества для IT, менеджеры, это разработчики, дизайнеры. Вот, это работает. Вот, у нас есть направления, наши клубы. То есть, по сути, мы такой мост между людьми, между IT-специалистами. Вот, и мы создаем независимое сообщество, где люди могут обмениваться информацией, знакомиться, дружить и обучаться. Вот, 7 наших направлений. И наши группы в Фейсбуке, IT Clubs Project, на Инстаграме. И здесь, если сфотографируете QR-код, то вы можете тоже напрямую попасть к нам в сообщество. Вот. Расскажу немножко о том событии, которое сегодня у нас. Мы его сделали не одни. Вот, ничего замечательного, хорошего в этом мире не делается в одиночку, и это здорово, потому что вместе с друзьями это сделать лучше. И сегодня наши партнеры и друзья — это компания «Истории». Вот Марго, представитель ее, и есть еще, наверное, пару человек здесь с этой компании. Они помогают нам с переводом. IT-комьюнити Днепра нас тоже поддерживает. Компания Сайткор, MC Bridge компания. Это те ребята, которые поддержали нас информационно. И мы благодарны также Спалаху, вот этому замечательному месту, которое нас здесь всех принял. И я думаю, что эти 2 часа будут для нас очень комфортны. Ну, не буду долго задерживать. Хочу представить, I want to introduce you Samuel Cook, please.
You.
Okay.
So it's great. It's great to be here in Ukraine. I studied, of all things, if you can imagine this, Russian history in graduate school at New York University, and I wrote my thesis on Catherine the Great and the conquest of Crimea and Ukraine back in 2010. So for me, it's always special to have a chance to come learn some history and culture in Ukraine, because when I was teaching the topic, I actually never had been here, so I guess I'm making up for it now. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is this idea of storytelling in the digital age. And what do I mean by storytelling? There's never been a time in history like the one that we live in right now. And if you think about the opportunities you have right now in Ukraine, 15 years ago, even 20 years ago, your parents, when this country was emerging from its independence, there was no opportunities like this. There was no time when you could literally pull out your phone, shoot a video, and in theory, if it's good, you can reach almost 3 billion people that are online. And your ability to connect with people from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from all over Western Europe and all parts of the world, and present to them what you have to offer here, which is some of the best technical talent in the world, it's unprecedented, and there's no opportunity like this that has ever existed. Your parents didn't have it, certainly your grandparents didn't have it, and it's an amazing time. It's never been easier to get your story out there. It's never been easier to connect with people and put it out there. And that's the good news. But the bad news is, because it's never been easier to get your message out there, because everyone can pull out their phone and record a message, and because everyone can actually put their story out there, it's never been harder to get someone to care. It's never been harder to get someone to listen if you do have a great story, precisely because everyone has the same opportunity. The barriers to entry to getting your message out there, to producing media, are disappearing. They've vanished. And that's only going to get better and worse. Your ability to get your story out there will only get easier. And the challenge that you have to get people to listen and to care about your story is only going to get harder. And if you're a talented technical company, like the ones I know that are here in Ukraine, and it's specifically in Dnepre, I know this is the former closed city that has amazing engineering talent and tradition here. Because you have that talent, your challenge to all of you tonight is to figure out how to tell your story so that you can connect with people. Because if you can, there's a tremendous potential for you as a community and you as tech company owners to move up the value chain. The iPhone, this iPhone that I'm holding in my pocket, is made in China. But Apple makes all of its money and keeps all of the money, almost all of the money, in America. And why is that? Because Apple is one of the world's great storytelling brands in the world. And the way that they make people feel when they buy their products creates an amazing story. And I'm going to start out tonight's presentation by telling you a little story about a guy named Łukasz. And I'm sitting here next to Łukasz on a video. Łukasz is from Poland. And I live in Poland probably because when I was trying to move to somewhere outside of the United States, Ukraine probably wasn't the best place to move. So I moved to Poland. And when I moved to Poland, I started working with technical companies. And Łukasz owns a software development house of 40 developers when I met him in Poznan in Poland. And Łukasz is probably a lot like a lot of people that in this room or people that you know. He's a tech company owner. He's a bit shy about his English. He doesn't want to put himself on camera. He's not like Americans who love to get out there and get on camera and talk. And he's got that Eastern European reserve that makes it challenging for him in his mind to get his message out there. So when we started working with him, I had this guy who didn't like to speak on camera, wasn't really confident about his English, didn't want to look silly, and we had this challenge of letting him tell his story and the story of his company. And how we solve that, I think, is a great blueprint for all of you as you think about how to get your message out there. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later Łukasz's story, because it's really inspiring how they got their message out there and the results that they've received. So how many of you have heard of this guy? In Ukraine, how many of you know who this is? Isn't that amazing, right? And why have you all heard of Elon Musk? Well, how many of you have actually heard Elon Musk speak? I think Elon Musk is the world's greatest storyteller. But if you've heard him speak, he's certainly not the best public speaker that has ever lived. In fact, he's pretty bad. And I hope Elon sees this video and he'll laugh, because he's not that comfortable. He's like one of your engineers here in Dnepre, kind of an introvert, a geek. He makes rockets. You guys make rockets here, right? You know the type. They're not the most social animals in the world, are they? These rocket engineers. Developers are not the most social people, are they? So why is Elon Musk the world's greatest storyteller? Well, actually, if you've read Elon Musk's story, he's quite an amazing person. He had 3 companies in 2008 during the financial crisis almost go out of business all at once. Tesla, SpaceX, and Solar City. And somehow he figured out how to land a NASA contract, get government financing during the midst of the crisis, and also somehow raise money for Solar City. So his story is really, really powerful. In fact, his biography is gripping. I loved reading it. But Elon Musk is not a billionaire. He's not going to be, I think, the richest man and the most influential man that's ever lived in the world of business because of his own personal story. People don't hand over $35,000 US for a car because they like you. People don't hand over that kind of money because they think you're an amazing person or they're inspired by your book. That's not why he's the most influential and one of the richest men in the world. It's all about not your story or his story, but it's actually the story that Elon Musk allows people to tell about themselves. This is a picture of a solar paneled roof that Tesla just came out with. And this is Elon Musk at the launch party for that. And look at that roof. It is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, his roof tiles are way stronger than regular roof tiles, have way more endurance, and they also look amazing compared to any other regular roof tiles. But they're far more expensive on the installation cost than regular roof tiles. But I predict that these are going to be omnipresent soon. They're going to be everywhere, especially in the United States and probably all over Western Europe very soon. And why is that? Because there was a study once done about solar roof panels in America, and they found that people who bought the old solar roof tiles, which are really ugly, you'd bolt them onto your roof, they make your roof look horrible. And what they found was they would recommend, based on the position of the sun and where the house was, where you should put your roof tiles. And a lot of the time, 50% of the time statistically, they'd recommend that you put it on the side away from the street. And that makes sense. Of course, if you're buying solar panels, wouldn't you put them where they tell you you're going to get the most energy? Because why else would you buy solar roof panels but to get the most energy? And especially if they recommend to put it on the other side of the street than the front side of your house, when these things are eyesores, they're ugly, why wouldn't you follow that recommendation? But people actually did precisely the opposite of what you'd think, which is they always put them in the front of their roof, facing the street, even though they make your house look ugly, not like these tiles. And why do you think that is? It's because people were buying these roof panels because of what they said about themselves by putting them up. And there's no point putting ugly roof panels on the backside of your house if you can't make that statement. And people didn't care about the electricity and the saving the planet and the environment. They cared about the statement they were making about themselves. I care about the environment, even though I'm not being the most efficient with these expensive things I just bought. And that's exactly what Elon Musk did with the Tesla electric car. There is no way on earth, in a rational stock market kind of analysis, that Tesla should be the world's most valuable car company. It's not making anywhere close to the amount of cars as General Motors, the biggest car company in the world. But it's the most valuable because investors understand that the demand for Tesla, 500,000 people have put down $1,000 deposits on a car that everyone knows is probably not going to get delivered for another 2 years. Because people want to be able to say that, look, I have a Tesla which is saving the environment and it's beautiful. I'm saving the world, I'm cool, I'm rich too, by the way, ladies, I'm rich. And it's the story that Tesla allows people to tell about themselves. It's a home run. I'm important, I'm better than you, ego. I'm saving the world, Don't worry, I'm not all ego. And I'm stylish, which is pretty hard to accomplish all in one product. And that's what the Tesla roof tiles are going to do when they come out. And that's what Tesla cars are enabling people to do, is tell an amazing story about themselves. So where did all this start? How did I get obsessed with storytelling? Well, how does a Russian history professor manage to get into storytelling? Well, I'll tell you a little story about that later, because I certainly needed to learn how to keep students awake during Russian history class in America. So me and Bobby McGee was a running coach who was South African. And he'd been to 6 Olympic Games at that time, and he was the best running coach in the world. And I paid him actually for running lessons back when I was competing, not professionally, but competing very heavily as a triathlete and doing marathons. And when I found Bobby, I paid him $350 for a 1 hour 30-minute lesson. If you can imagine that, I paid for 1 hour what some people probably make in a month in Dnepre for a running lesson. It was the most expensive purchase I'd ever made for someone's time at that point. But it was a transformational experience to do a running lesson with him. Everything after that running lesson, I changed the way I thought about running. I actually enjoyed running for the first time in my life. Even though as an Army officer, I'd been running all the time every morning, I never really liked it. And this running coach taught me how to love running, just like that in a 90-minute session. And I took him on as my first client, and I made him record a video course, and I thought, Bobby, you're going to be amazing. I need to get you out there on camera, and I want you to talk to camera and say, hey, this is why you should buy my course. And he looked at me as a South African, and he said, Sam, I'm not some American huckster trying to sell my stuff online. I would rather not make any money than speak into the camera and pitch people like some used car salesman. You know the Americans that are online, you see their videos. And I had a problem. How was I going to sell this reserved South African who is so classy and so well known in the community that he was? How was I going to make him sell his product? Because you have to put yourself out there and ask for the sale in order to make sales online. So I had a problem, and I didn't know what to do. And then I met Ryan Spanger. Now Ryan is a filmmaker. He went to film school in South Africa, then he moved to Australia when he was a teenager. And he went to film school. And Ryan went to film school just like most artists. He figured out, I'm not going to make any money making films. So he finds himself delivering pizza in Australia to make a living, and he's got a film degree from a top film school, and he's thinking, this isn't quite right. How do I take my profession, my passion for filmmaking, and turn it into something I can make money doing? So Ryan had this idea to start working with business owners and applying documentary filmmaking techniques to help business owners tell their stories. So right after I started working with Bobby McGee, I saw Ryan Spanger speak at a marketing conference in 2013, 4 years ago, when I was just getting started with my own digital agency. And it just struck me, because what he said was simple but powerful. He said, forget all those cartoons, those explainer videos, those little whiteboard videos where people are writing while someone's talking. Forget speaking into the camera, memorizing your lines. He said the most powerful videos out there in his experience are to just sit someone down in front of a camera and have them tell their story. Unscripted, raw, emotional, and powerful. And it really struck me because I'd been studying sales and marketing, and I'd been trying to figure out, how can I get people with the things that I say? What's the script? What are the power words? What are the authentic or moments that you need to capture to get people to buy? And I was thinking all wrong. I was thinking as though it was some video game where you needed to press the right buttons in order to trick someone into parting with their money. And what Ryan taught me was that inspiration is far more powerful than manipulation. Inspiration is far more powerful than tricks and tactics and all those things that you see and that make you hate sales and marketing, you don't have to do that. And when I saw that presentation, everything changed. I ran up to Ryan afterwards. Literally, I said, I'm going to hire you. You're going to come to the United States. I have 4 clients. We're going to spend 3 weeks and go to Colorado, New York City, and then we're going to drive across the country to Texas, and we're going to interview people the whole way. And I had Ryan bring just one camera with a bunch of fancy lights in it in a carry-on bag, and I said, we're going to go to film school together. And he taught me over the course of the 3 weeks how to be a filmmaker. This was my film school. I'm here at Lake Minnewaska, New Falls, New York. We're just filming some footage of people swimming for one of the swimming coaches that I was working for. And Ryan taught me how to direct shots, how to pick lighting, and most importantly, he taught me the art of interviewing and storytelling. And I'm going to go over later the specific things that Ryan taught me about directing, but what I learned here was really powerful. And what I'm going to show you now is the results. The first film that I ever made, and as an artist will tell you, your first is always your favorite because you pour your heart and soul into it, and you also have never heard the critics at that point. So this is a film that we did for Bobby, and this is the beginning of a 17-minute sales video that we did. And the purpose of this first part of this video, consciously, my goal was to get you to instantly meet, connect with, know, like, and trust Bobby. Because if I could just let Bobby be himself, I was sure that I would get people to trust him and to invest in his product. So I'm going to show you this video, and then I'm going to talk to you right afterwards about the results.
Running is like your first language. It's primal. It's more primal than walking. It is the most primal thing about it. It's more primal than language. And can you change that? And I don't know if you can change it. I think it's more about life and circumstances and types of training, and in my world now, triathlon, the bike, the swim, all of these things add things that are holding you back as a runner. And my job as a coach is to reach inside of each athlete and shake off all the stuff that is not beautiful running form and leave behind. And we all have an extensor cross reflex. We can all put one foot in front of the other. And working with what I get, if I get somebody with a long torso and short legs, making the best runner they can be with that build. And if I get somebody with the long legs and the short torso, just giving them the ability to realize that they need to regain the skills that they had when they were 9 and 10, 11 years old. You have to work on the person first. You have to acknowledge the reality of who the individual is way before you think about their performance. The ability to have a life that's what you're doing with your life. You're working at helping people be the best they can be. That's pretty special. So yeah, you make a huge difference. I don't know, probably got 2,000 testimonials of athletes who say, I went out for my regular 90-minute run and I took 3 minutes off it, and all I was concentrating on was putting my chest here, or doing this with my hamstrings, or doing this with my arms, or looking here. All those little things that I've noticed over the years that have formed my toolbox. But it's still an experiential thing. You have to teach people an aha moment. You can't teach them like you teach them a forearm in tennis, or a ground stroke in tennis, or how to throw a javelin. It's not like that at all. Not even like riding a bicycle or swimming. It's more organic than that.
Bobby McGee is the run educator for USA Triathlon. I knew from the moment that he started speaking that he was one of the most brilliant people that I've ever met.
I don't think there's anyone that knows more about mechanics, especially running mechanics, anywhere, in any profession, than Bobby.
My experience with Bobby McGee is every time I see him, I want to bring a notebook to write down everything he says. Because if I remember just 2 of the 100 things that he tells me over the course of the time that I see him, I know that I'll make improvements.
Every time an athlete is in front of me, it's the only person on the planet that has a period of time. It doesn't matter if they an amateur or 500th in the world, or they have
Got
an
it.
opportunity to win an Olympic medal, something that is not mine. It's like a muse type thing where I'm completely focused on the athlete and I'm completely absorbed. I can spend 2-3 hours working with an athlete and I'm not aware of how time is passing.
I consulted with Bobby with a lot of training techniques, a lot of drills, a lot of strengthening, and stuff like that, because it's things that I never did. And like I said, I wish I had met Bobby earlier in my career. I think
So at the end of that, when he said, every time I'm in an athlete, it feels like the only person in the world, at that moment right there, everyone was hooked on Bobby, because we saw, even in the video analytics, people would rewind over that point because it was just such a powerful, authentic, emotional moment. And the results from this campaign were really quite amazing in terms of the sales. So I'm going to actually pick that story up right after this, because Anton wants to fix something for the translation. So we're going to take just a few minutes break here, and we'll pick that right up. I'm going to be joined on stage by my translator, right? Or you're going to stay there? Okay. So I'm going to have a translator translating between what I say, and be careful. I remember some Russian, and I'll tell you if you got it wrong. I'm just joking. I'm sure you'll get it right.
Just make some pauses from me.
Okay. So why did Bobby's campaign work so well? Well, this was only the beginning of the video.
Это было всего лишь начало видео, и сейчас я вам расскажу, почему компания работала хорошо.
And in a moment, I'm going to show you the end of the video, because obviously this doesn't do the whole job. It makes you connect with Bobby, but he still hasn't asked you to buy his product.
Я вам покажу конец видео, и вы поймете, почему оно продает, почему оно работает.
So we're going to get to that in a little while, but understand that the beginning of any story is the most important part. People either connect with you or they don't.
Начало истории – это самый важный момент, потому что люди поймут, будут ли они с вами работать или нет.
And the lesson you need to take from Bobby is that he connected with people by being himself. He wasn't trying to be anyone else. He was simply just himself, and that's why it was so powerful.
Почему его история сработала? Потому что этот человек был сам собой.
And if you don't think you could do something like that, I'm telling you that you can.
Если вы не можете быть сами собой, то я вам скажу, что вы можете.
So, what Bobby teaches us is what is possible. But now I want to talk to you about what you're getting wrong in your marketing, why it's not working for you.
Сейчас я вам расскажу, что вы делаете неправильно в своем маркетинге и почему это у вас не работает.
When you build a website, you spend a lot of time and energy thinking about your website, and it's really important and it's quite emotional because you show it to your friends and your family, and they're all telling you how great it looks. And no one has an ugly website, just like no one has an ugly baby.
Вы тратите очень много энергии на свой веб-сайт, на его построение. Это как ребенок.
And then you find out that no one's coming to your website because Google's just not magically sending people there just because you built it.
Но на самом деле Google не отправляет людей просто на ваш веб-сайт, потому что вы его сделали. Это не работает.
And then you figure out, well, I need to probably buy some ads for my website, like I did when I first built my website. The first one 10 years ago for my business, no one was coming there, so I paid for ads. And after $2,000 of ad spend, not one person bought a $20 ticket for my tours that I was selling.
10 лет назад у меня был свой веб-сайт, на который я потратила $2000 на рекламу, и всего лишь один человек купил билет на мое мероприятие.
So I asked the person who I paid $2,000 for Google Ads why he messed it up. And he said, oh, trust me, it's not my fault. It's your website is ugly.
Я спросил, почему вы потратили $1000, но это, оказывается, не моя вина, это вина веб-сайта.
But that's not possible because my website was beautiful. Everyone told me it was beautiful and it was amazing and it was going to work.
Но мой веб-сайт, он прекрасен, он должен работать.
Hold on. But after a while, I realized that everyone was just being nice to me and that they were probably right, that my website wasn't very good.
Но я понял, что все со мной были всего лишь вежливы, и мой веб-сайт не работал, он был не таким хорошим.
And then you get this idea that you can get free traffic with Google and YouTube and all these other places that are just going to magically send you free traffic if you figure out how to hack the system and trick Google into giving you free traffic.
И у вас появилась идея, каким образом создать себе трафик с помощью Google и YouTube.
And they call that search engine optimization.
И это search engine optimization.
Search engine optimization, SEO.
Автоматизация поиска. SEO. Оптимизация. Thank you.
And there's probably even companies in Ukraine here that do that for people all over the world.
Скорее всего, в Украине тоже есть такие компании, которые это делают для компаний по всему миру.
But the problem they'll tell you is, how long is it going to take me to get traffic to my site? And they'll tell you, oh, maybe 6 to 9 months it will start working.
И на самом деле я хотела бы спросить, насколько это время затратно, и, наверное, это 6 месяцев для того, чтобы получить трафик с помощью своей оптимизации.
So give me $2,000 a month for the next 9 months and you'll finally see results.
Поэтому давайте-ка вы мне будете давать $2000 в месяц на протяжении следующих полугода, и мы сделаем все, что вы хотите.
That's my free traffic.
Да, это мой free трафик.
Not free. And what's going on here is you as a business owner have no idea who's telling you the truth about why it's not working.
На самом деле мы не можем найти концы, почему не работает этот трафик, эта реклама.
So what are you doing wrong? Why can't you get it right?
Что вы делаете не так? Какие у вас ошибки?
Well, let's look at why I think most business owners get it wrong. First of all, we're focusing on the wrong things. And I call these €10 an hour tasks because in the United States and Western Europe, you would normally pay someone €10 an hour to do this kind of work. Fixing things on a website, spelling checks, transcribing videos, answering customer inquiries, sorting content, etc.
Эти первые пункты я называю самыми основными ошибками изначальными. Я называю их 10 евро в час ошибки. Вот они на экране.
And as a business owner, you want to do all these things because you don't want to pay someone else to do it.
И как владелец бизнеса вы понимаете это все.
And then there's the €100 an hour tasks, which are 10 times more valuable than the €10 an hour tasks.
И это задачи, которые стоят $100 в час, которые намного ценнее, чем первые.
This is what you would pay in Western Europe for this kind of work.
Это вы заплатите в Европе за такую работу.
Facebook ads, Google ads, programming development, website maintenance, video editing and production, and graphic design.
Эти 7 пунктов будут стоить €100 в час.
And then you've got what I call the really valuable tasks, which are 10 times more valuable. They should cost and do cost €1,000 an hour because they're that rare to find.
Эти пункты намного ценнее. Я думаю, что они стоят этих денег, потому что они намного сложнее, чем предыдущие.
Writing sales copy. believe it or not, I have charged people about $500 to $1,000 per email that I write for them.
Я платил очень большие деньги за имейлы, которые они для меня писали.
Directing a video shoot, a high quality marketing video shoot, video scripting, selling people high value products. As a business owner, you can make €1,000 an hour selling something expensive.
Видеоскрипты, продажи людей. Это очень важно.
And then you have the €10,000 an hour tasks, and these are the type of things that if you spend 1 hour doing, they will produce €10,000 of return in your business.
Эти задачи стоят 10 000 в час.
And all of these things here are strategy. And what's missing, when you go all the way back, in the middle of this diagram is you as a business owner did not have a strategy. And the reason why is you're spending all of your time doing things that you could and should pay someone else to be doing. And you're not doing the strategy.
Самое важное, что объединяет эти пункты, это стратегия. На предыдущем слайде там был вопрос в центре. Собственно, это то, чего не хватает бизнесам, владельцам, это стратегия.
And this is what a real marketing strategy should look like. And this is how we think about marketing at James Cook Media.
Вот как должна выглядеть стратегия маркетинг в нашей компании.
And in the middle, you'll see that the first thing, number one, we always do is we start with the strategy. Before we build a website, pay for ads, or do content marketing, SEO, we always start with a strategy.
И вы увидите в центре, что самым первым пунктом, на который мы обращаем внимание, мы строим стратегию.
And there's 3 things in there that I'm going to talk about tonight called the avatar, which is who is your hero.
И сегодня я вам расскажу, кто такой аватар, то есть кто ваш герой.
Writing your hero's journey, which is the story.
Написать историю вашего героя.
And then creating a funnel map, which is the blueprint for a successful marketing campaign.
И таким образом создать воронку, которая будет кейпоинтом вашего маркетинга.
And the second thing is I've replaced the website with what I call a funnel. And a funnel is not a website.
И второе это воронка, но это не веб-сайт.
And you're going to understand by the end of tonight exactly what a funnel is, because I'm going to give you detailed examples of how we do it. But a website is not enough to sell online. What you need to do is create a journey that replicates the sales process that is successful for you when you're sitting in front of someone. Now, what do I mean by sitting in front of someone? If you have a business and you can't sell someone sitting next to them on your product, you're never going to successfully sell online. If you have a business and you cannot successfully sell to someone sitting next to them, you can never successfully sell something online. If you can't sell it over Skype in a one-on-one conversation, you can't sell it online. Until you figure that out, you shouldn't build any website.
Вам нужно понять, что вы не можете продавать только онлайн. Вам нужно связываться непосредственно с самим клиентом.
But if you are successful selling one-to-one on Skype or in person, the funnel is a process where we replicate that what's working for you using pages and videos and ads and emails to create an entire journey where people can buy from you easily online. And then once you have a funnel, that's where paid traffic and content marketing come in, SEO. And you see they work together. One always helps the other. And if you make them both work together, they can really multiply the effect that each one of them would have individually.
Дальше вы видите, что оплачиваемый график, который всегда работает вместе.
Okay, so now, what is a strategy?
Что такое стратегия?
And I'm going to make strategy very simple.
Для меня это очень просто.
You have a person.
У вас есть человек.
Человек, yes. Or girls, fine. And that is what I call your hero.
Это ваш герой.
And the reason I call him your hero is going to become very clear in the next section.
В следующей секции вы поймете, почему это ваш герой.
But your hero, the person you're trying to sell to,
Ваш герой — это человек, которому вы пытаетесь продать.
the people who put food on your table for your family,
Люди, которые, собственно, обеспечивают еду на столе вашей семьи.
believe it or not, they're actually real people.
Это действительно люди.
And they're walking along some dark, lonely road,
И они идут в одиночестве по темной дороге,
and they have pain.
и они должны платить.
And they're dreaming of this beautiful future.
И у них есть прекрасное будущее.
If I could only find amazing developers that don't cost me 150 euros an hour like they do in America or the United Kingdom. If I could only find more developers who are amazing that don't cost me so much money, maybe my business would be successful. That might be what they're thinking.
Единственное, что мне нужно сделать, это найти разработчиков, которые помогут сделать мне бизнес успешным.
But I have no idea how to find those people.
Никто не знает, как это сделать.
And my business is not working because I lack technical talent.
И мой бизнес не работает, потому что у меня нет технического таланта.
And they are stuck in a place of pain.
И они застряли в месте боли.
And only when you understand who that person you're trying to help is at a deep level, exactly who they are as a person, emotionally what they're thinking and feeling and what that's making them feel, can you really understand the foundation of a strategy.
Вам нужно понять этого человека, его эмоциональную боль, что они чувствуют, и тогда вы сможете построить стратегию.
And once you understand that, you can also speak to them and understand that thing they really want, that future.
И если вы это поймете, вы можете поговорить с ними и спросить у них, что они видят в будущем, какое светлое будущее они хотят.
And the only thing you have to do after that is simply build a bridge to get from this point where they are and show them there's a path to that better future.
После этого вы сможете построить мост, который приведет их из одного пункта боли к прекрасному будущему.
And this bridge has to be carefully planned out and constructed.
И этот мост должен быть аккуратно и тщательно спланирован и сконструирован.
Every bridge in the world is different, and it takes a lot of careful engineering to make it work.
Любой мост во всем мире, он очень тщательно построен, и это занимает очень большую трудоемко.
And this is where you need to hire an expert, like an architect or an engineer, to build that bridge.
И вот вам нужно нанять архитектора, который строит этот мост.
But you as a business owner have to understand the beginning point, which is your hero, and the ending point, which is exactly what they want. You can't tell an engineer or an architect or a marketer to figure that out for you.
И прежде всего вам нужно понимать, где начальная точка, где конец, каким образом это построить.
If you take one thing from this talk tonight,
Если вы поймете хотя бы одну вещь,
and I'm going to say it slow so she can say it, one word by word. If you take one thing from this talk tonight, you can never outsource. You can never call someone in America or the UK or wherever you think you need to get help, and outsource your strategy to them.
вы никогда не будете аутсорсить и заказывать стратегию у других компаний.
Nobody cares about your business like you do as a business owner.
Никому не нужен ваш бизнес, кроме вас.
No marketing consultant will ever know the strategy, the hero, and the future that they want better than you.
Никакой маркетолог не сможет вам рассказать про героя и про будущее.
You speak to these people every day.
Вы
And you know exactly how to do this. If only you could learn how to really do a strategy, you could do this.
И только вы знаете, как построить стратегию.
So this is what we're going to talk about in this masterclass. We're going to talk about 4 things. Number 1, who is your hero?
Сегодня мы поговорим про эти 4 вопроса. Кто ваш герой?
Number 2, writing your hero's journey.
Напишем вашу историю вашего героя.
Then, after a short break, we're going to talk about mapping the digital journey.
После небольшого перерыва мы расскажем про построение карты.
And finally, we're going to talk about building your minimum viable funnel.
И потом мы расскажем поговорим про выстраивание вашей воронки.
How many of you have heard of lean startup? Okay, minimum viable product, right? Okay, we'll talk about minimum viable funnel.
Сегодня поговорим про минимальную воронку.
And then we're going to have a party, I think.
И потом у нас будет вечеринка.
I'm paying for a party, I heard. I just gave some money to someone, so I hope there's a party. Okay, sound good? Давай. Okay,
Кто ваш герой?
ladies, how many of you know these women?
Кто знает этих девушек?
Okay, I was dating a girl from Crimea in New York City in 2009. Yes.
В 2009 году я встретил.
Because I was going to teach Russian history, I needed to understand the culture.
Я преподавала русскую историю, поэтому мне нужно было понимать культуру.
And so I met this beautiful Ukrainian girl,
Я встретил девушку из Украины, из Крыма.
and she taught me a little bit about Russian history and language and culture.
И она немножко научила меня культуре русской и русскому языку.
And she also taught me about Sex in the City.
Она мне рассказала про секс в большом городе.
We were living in New York City, but that's not what I'm talking about.
Мы живем в Нью-Йорке, но это не то, о чем я сегодня поговорю.
So I took her on the New York City bus tour by a tour company that took women from all over the world to all the Sex in the City sites in New York City. The cupcakes, the shoe stores where you got your Cosmopolitans, all those places, we went to those spots and acted like we were in the movie.
Мы действовали как в кино. Мы заказали автобусный тур и поехали по всем местам, которые были в этом городе.
The most successful tour company in New York City was the Sex in the City bus tour company.
Самая известная компания, которая организовывает автобусные туры, это «Секс в большом городе».
And why was that?
И почему?
Because every woman in the world watches that damn show.
Потому что все смотрят это шоу.
And when we got on the bus, there were 38 people, and 4 of us were guys.
Мы взяли тур, в котором было 36 людей, 38 людей, только 4 мужчины.
I was starting to regret bringing a date. And when they got on the bus, the tour guide said, "How many Mirandas do we have on the bus?" How many Mirandas in the room here? Okay. Okay. And some women raised their hand, they yelled out, and they said, okay, now how many Charlottes? And then Charlottes, they didn't say much, but they raised their hands. And then, I forget the other one, Carrie, they were loud. And then finally, Samantha. Now there were only 2 Samanthas, because Samanthas are kind of rare, but they were louder than all the other girls combined.
Гид спросил про все 4 героя, опросил тех людей, которые были в автобусе, и попросил поднимать руку, когда назвал каждого героя. И в автобусе было только 2 Саманты, но они были самыми громкими.
Because if you've seen the movie, you know Samantha's a little crazy.
Если вы видели фильм, то вы знаете, что Саманта немножко сумасшедшая.
And what was amazing was every woman in that bus knew which character they were.
В автобусе все девушки знали, какой герой из этого фильма соответствует им.
And what this teaches you is every book that has taken off and been a bestseller. Every religion, every movie has characters that people can identify with and want to be like.
Это учит нам тому, что любой фильм, любая книга, у них есть герой.
And that is the power of an avatar, of a hero.
И этот случай показывает силу аватара или героя.
And everyone, when they watch a movie, they actually, and when they read a book, they actually forget about their own boring life.
Все люди, которые смотрели этот фильм, и они были опрашиваемы, они забыли про свою скучную жизнь.
And imagine that they're in that movie as that character.
И представили, что они в фильме как их герой.
And that's what great movies, great works of literature do.
Это то, что делают невероятные книги и самые лучшие фильмы. Они заставляют вас задуматься о том, какой герой вы есть.
They give us a chance to imagine ourselves as heroes. Okay? So I'm going to talk about this idea and how to apply it in your marketing. And there's 3 steps to making your customers the hero.
Есть 3 шага, которые сделают вашего клиента вашим героем.
First, you need to choose your hero.
Вам нужно выбрать своего героя.
Then you need to get clear on who they are at an emotional level, and that's called empathy.
Вам нужно понять, кто они на эмоциональном уровне. Это называется эмпатия.
And finally, you need to understand the story that your hero is actually living.
Вам нужно понять историю, которую ваш герой проживает.
And you might say to yourself, but I have so many heroes.
Возможно, вы скажете себе, у меня так много героев,
I can help everyone.
я могу всем помочь.
I'm a hero, I can help everyone, I'm a legend.
Я герой, я могу всем помочь. Как вы думаете?
So I'm going to tell you the story of Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook just to prove my point.
Сегодня я расскажу вам историю про Facebook.
There are 2 billion people on Facebook,
Там есть два самых сильных человека.
except for Russians, they're on VKontakte. And a lot of Ukraine is on VKontakte too, right? But Facebook started with one avatar.
Facebook начинается с вашей аватар.
When Mark Zuckerberg founded Facebook, only students from Harvard, the most elite university in America, could join.
Continue.
Did you already say that?
No?
Okay. Only students from Harvard were allowed to join Facebook when Facebook first started.
Только студенты Гарварда были на Фейсбуке, когда он начал все.
That was one type of person that was allowed to start.
Это был один тип людей.
Then he started expanding to other universities.
Потом он стал расширяться на другие университеты.
And then he expanded to younger high school students.
И потом в нем стали участвовать студенты.
And then finally to adults, but all only in America.
И потом туда присоединились взрослые люди, но только из Америки.
And once Facebook had figured out America, then they started going to other countries.
И после Америки он стал завоевывать другие страны.
If you want to reach the world, start with one hero. Start with one set of people that you are best equipped to help, and only focus on those people.
Если вы хотите достигнуть мира и завоевать мир, то начните с одного человека, с одного героя,
Just like Facebook did.
как в Фейсбуке.
Because if you really serve that first group well, word will spread.
Стоит только начать и начать с одного человека.
Facebook was so popular at Harvard that they told all their friends, and then Facebook had to expand the number of avatars they served.
Facebook стал настолько популярным в Гарварде, что все студенты начали про него рассказывать друзьям, и таким образом он завоевал мир.
If you speak to everybody, you speak to nobody.
Если вы говорите каждому, вы говорите ни с кем.
If you try and make your website appeal to everyone, it will appeal to no one.
Если вы постараетесь сделать ваш веб-сайт удобным для каждого клиента, то вы не достигнете ничего.
The second thing is after you pick your hero, you really need to understand them at a deep emotional level.
Второй пункт, вы должны понимать эмоциональный уровень вашего героя.
And this is where I want to talk to you about Asha, the project manager for the software development company Abzumi that was owned by Wukish.
Это герой Аша, она project manager компании.
And we were doing this exercise after we had defined who their hero was.
Мы работали с ней над этим упражнением и пытались понять, кто ее герой.
And their hero was a 25 to 30-year-old English startup founder in the city of London.
И герой это был 25-30-летний человек, англичанин.
And these are people that we realized as we were doing this exercise thought they were actually going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg.
И люди, которые делали это упражнение, не думали, что они могут стать вторым Марком Цукербергом.
And all the ladies in this room know that men 25 to 30 years old can be a bit arrogant and full of themselves and think that they're actually God's gift to the world.
И все люди в этой комнате, все девушки, не думали, что каждый такой 25-30-летний человек может стать центром мира.
Especially tech founders.
Особенно так думали основатели технические, да.
Especially English-speaking tech founders.
Особенно те, которые говорили на английском.
The worst are the Americans. The worst ones are the Americans. And as we started uncovering the emotions and mapping these out of what the ideal client was saying, we realized that we had to speak to these people. And I saw Asha's pretty smile start to disappear. And she started to cross her arms and really look upset. And she stood up in the middle of the meeting and said, if we get another one of these clients like this person, because they had one like that, I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit. And we realized that as a software development house, they could only help so many people. So why would you want to work with people that would make you lose your best project manager? So we just wasted the whole day building a profile around someone we decided that we didn't want to work with. That was the most productive session that company ever had. Because they redefined their avatar to someone they really wanted to work with, which was a 40 to 45-year-old medical professional who was starting a tech business. And it changed everything about their business. Because when you speak to the person you actually want to help, they'll find you. And you'll push away the ones that you don't want to work with. Because men at 40 to 45 are completely different than men at 25 to 30. Because the one avatar had no children and was single, and the other one had a family and children. And what motivates them, what they're thinking, what they really want to accomplish, and why is completely different. So I'm going to play a short video for you about the third stage of really connecting with your ideal customer. And this is something we do at our workshops where we actually make them write the story of their own customer's life.
Сейчас вы посмотрите видео с нашего воркшопа.
Okay.
I'm Marco, and I have a company called Yomiwi. We're an event marketing platform, which pretty much what we do is we track consumer behavior at live events for brands, and we provide real-time feedback back to the brands through RFID technology and NFC technology. Right at the end of the day of day one, when we had to write the story, I understood when I wrote the story in first person, I understood exactly what it was that my client feels. And that made me feel and change a lot of things that I want to do in the business, because the way we're approaching the client, it's probably not the right way, because we were lacking information. And this is, day one was actually really helpful into obtaining that feedback, that information, and understanding how it is that we can actually approach our client the right way, understand and have empathy, and obviously know exactly their pain points and what they're looking for. It completely redefined what marketing is for me. Completely. What I had in mind, what it was, and how I was implementing marketing in my company has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with what I'm going to do next week. It's not about the product, it's about the person. And that's for me what triggered the whole change. You know, it's understanding what it is their pain point is, what they want to gain from the product, and not so much about how I want the product to look. It's not about me anymore, it's about them. And that's, for me, the most powerful thing that I take out of this workshop, that I understand finally that this product is something I have to build and create for somebody else's needs, not for mine.
That is the classic mistake engineers make, is they think the product they're building is about themselves.
Это самая классическая ошибка, которую все делают. Они думают, что продукт, который они строят, это про них.
Herman was building a software product, just like all of you are probably involved with. And he realized after one day of doing this work that everything had to change. It wasn't about him and what his engineers thought. It was about what the people he was trying to help were, what his heroes wanted. This exercise is so powerful, not just for your marketing, but for everything you do in your business. So if you're sitting here, I'm going to return back to the story of Bobby McGee, our running coach.
Сейчас я немножко вернусь обратно к истории Бобби Маги.
And if you're sitting here wondering how you're going to sell yourself because you're not comfortable asking for money from people, this is how Bobby did it.
Вот как Бобби сделал свою компанию.
If you noticed at the beginning when I was showing Bobby's video, I started introducing characters into his talk.
Вначале я начинала представлять героев его истории.
And these characters each represented one of 4 avatars.
И его герои представляют одного из 4 аватаров.
The triathlete, the runner, and the coach.
Тренера,
Triathlete,
человек, который бегает, и
the coach. And Bobby was not going to sit there and ask for money and tell people to buy his course.
Бобби не просил людей купить его курс.
So we just had the people that Bobby had helped do it for him.
Мы просто попросили людей сделать это для него.
And this is way more powerful than if Bobby would have done it himself.
И это намного сильнее, и это сыграло намного большую роль.
And I'm going to show you how it worked.
Я покажу вам, как это работает.
My vision for Run Transformation has always been to make available to a larger community what I'm able to do every day with my coaching, and that is to reach into an individual and grab the core of what they are capable of and show it to them and make them capable of accessing what their true potential is. And so I want nothing more than for people on a broader scale to be able to put together what it takes for them to be able to perform at a level that gives them tremendous satisfaction and joy.
One thing I love about Bobby McGee is he's always bringing in new information. He's always searching out new information. He's never satisfied with old knowledge. And for me, he really is just that. He's a wealth of knowledge. And with the Run Transformation series, it puts that knowledge at my fingertips.
In terms of the amount of money that people spend in the sport of triathlon to get to races, to have the equipment, this system offers, for me, the most amount of improvement for the least amount of money.
With the Run Transformation system, you've got to look at it as a system. It's not just a product. You're getting the whole deal. There are a lot of books now about running. There's a lot of DVDs about coaching, but it's all bits and pieces. People are it's almost as if the coaches are a little bit scared to give you the whole package, because it's giving the farm away, isn't it? It's giving all their secrets away. I think what you've got in Run Transformation that makes it so different is Bobby is laying it out, everything he knows with all his years of experience with world-class elite athletes from the ground up. So you've got everything in there you need. And as a masters athlete, it's particularly rich because there's a lot of detail in there about how you can stay healthy, how you can adjust your training to your capabilities, if you like, so that you won't overdo it and you won't push too hard. And you've got the whole system there.
If you were thinking about buying Bobby McGee's Run Transformation video package with all of that content on biomechanics, skills, mental training, I don't think you could possibly find a better approach out there. In my experience interacting with Bobby from the very first moment that I met him, I knew that he had so much knowledge and was able to convey that knowledge and teach it well, and it's helped me immensely in my own running. So if I had the opportunity to purchase a system like that and have that be my interaction with Bobby, that amount of knowledge I just don't think it exists in any single package anywhere else.
Running form, running technique, coaching, mental skills, nobody does it better in a package than Bobby does. I couldn't give a stronger recommendation than to say, do the course. It will probably be the most instructional and the most transformational thing that you can do for your running.
If you are doubting your ability to get people to buy your product or your service, you actually don't need to do that. In fact, I'll show you an example later of how Łukasz did it, which is even more extreme. You just need people that you've helped to say it for you, because no one can say it more authentically than the people whose lives that you've changed with your product or your service. Because they are the people that you want to be like. They're the people your hero wants to be like.
Вам не нужно продавать самим себя, вам нужно спрашивать людей, которым вы помогли. Они скажут намного лучше, чем вы. Они расскажут вам о сервисе. Это ваши герои, это ваши аватары.
They want to be like Simon, who's 60 years old and is still running and being healthy.
Они хотят быть такими, как Саймон, которому 60 лет, и он до сих пор бегает, и он здоров.
Some of them want to be like those professional triathletes.
Кто-то хочет быть таким же профессионалом.
Some of them want to be like Suzanne, the coach.
Кто-то хочет быть тренером.
And if those people that they want to be like tell them authentically with emotion to do it, it's going to do it.
И вы можете сказать им, что они это сделают.
And Bobby started with no money from his online sales and made $250,000 in 6 months.
Мы начали с нуля, и мы заработали огромную сумму денег на протяжении 6 месяцев.
Everyone says no one watches long videos online.
Все говорят, что никто не смотрит длинные видео онлайн.
But that 17-minute video brought in $250,000 of sales.
Но это видео длится 17 минут.
So finally, I want to just tell you a quick story and caution you on something.
Сейчас я вам расскажу также историю.
I was running a business about triathlon training.
Я занимался бизнесом по тренеру триатлона.
And that's actually Bobby at one of my camps.
И это Бобби.
And I remember standing there thinking to myself, I don't love this anymore.
Я понимаю, что они думали про себя, что мне это больше не нравится, я не хочу этим заниматься.
And that business ended up failing.
И этот бизнес закончился нехорошо.
Even though I generated $1.6 million of sales for that business.
Даже благодаря тому, что я потратила очень много денег,
I didn't make it work at the end.
я сгенерировала много денег, но это не сработало.
And it's because I didn't love the avatar, the hero that I was helping anymore.
Просто потому, что мне не нравился герой.
So don't be like me and keep working in a business where you don't like the people you're working with.
Не будьте как я, работайте над своим бизнесом, даже если вам не нравится герой.
Be smart like Abzumi and fire your avatar and find a new one.
Будьте такими же умными, как Абзюми, убирайте своего аватара и создавайте нового.
It's a lot easier that way.
Так намного проще.
Do the strategy and really figure it out now who you want to help and how you're going to help them.
Стратегия помогает ли вам найти своего героя, как вы можете им помочь.
Before it's too late, like my business.
Сделайте, пока это не стало поздно.
So now we're going to talk about part 2, which is writing your hero's journey.
Сейчас поговорим о пункте 2, что означает написать свою историю своего героя.
This is George Lucas, the director of Star Wars.
Это Джордж Лукас, директор Star Wars.
And that's Luke Skywalker.
И Люк Скайуокер.
Sometimes people call him Mark Hamill, the actor. George Lucas, everyone told him Star Wars was going to fail.
Все говорили, что Star Wars провалится.
He didn't get any money to make the film.
Он не получил вообще денег для того, чтобы сделать фильм.
It opened on the worst day of the year, May 25th, to open a film.
И он открыл фильм, запустил фильм в 2000.
It opened in only a couple theaters across the country.
Всего лишь открыл показ несколько кинотеатров по всей стране.
They had none of the PR they should have had.
У них не было пиара.
But it became the best-selling movie franchise of all time.
Тем не менее, это стало бестселлером.
And why was that?
Почему?
Because George Lucas read and understood the concept I'm about to teach you, which is called the hero's journey.
Потому что он понимал то, чему я вас сейчас научу, как выстраивать путешествие героя.
And the hero's journey is something that I'd like to illustrate with a quick story.
Сейчас я расскажу небольшую историю, которая отобразит, как выстраивать.
This is me with my Russian history students when I was leaving the military.
Это я и мой студент по истории Бывшего.
And they were giving me a party and a present.
И когда я ходила, они меня звали на вечеринку.
Because I managed to make Russian history fun for them.
Потому что я хотела сделать историю России смешной для них.
Which is hard for Americans.
Это тяжело для американцев.
And one of the things I figured out teaching these cadets was the power of story to keep them awake.
Я понимаю, что сила истории – это один из основных пунктов.
And the first thing I taught them was that their own personal story that they were living wasn't really true.
И первая вещь, которую я научил их, это их история на самом деле неправда.
The reason they were telling me that they went to West Point and were serving was not true.
И причина, которая заставила их поехать, это не то.
If you think about any of us, the story we tell about why we're doing what we're doing is not really close to the real truth.
А все, что вы можете подумать о том, почему мы это делаем и как, это неправда.
Why is your life not the way you want it right now?
Почему ваша жизнь не такая, которую вы хотели видеть?
It's because you're making excuses for why you're not as healthy or as rich or as successful as you think you could be.
Потому что вы не такие богатые, не такие успешные, вы находите оправдание этому всему.
I had a cadet who came to West Point, and when he was 5 years old, his father left him after being a violent, abusive father, and he never saw him again.
У меня есть один герой, которому 5 лет, которого оставили родители, и с ними родители обращались не очень хорошо.
And he was one of the most determined and probably will be one of the most successful people I ever worked with.
Но это тот человек, который посвящал всего себя, и, наверное, это один из самых интересных героев, с которыми я работал.
It's because the story he told himself about his childhood was a powerful one.
Потому что история про его детство была очень сильной.
He said, because my father was abusive and left me, I never ever want to be powerless again.
Он сказал, что я не хотел бы потерять силу именно из-за того, что мой папа со мной нехорошо обращался, и он меня бросил в детстве.
And that's what successful people do with bad circumstances.
И так поступают все успешные люди.
Someone else would say, because my father left me, I have no self-esteem, and that's why I'm a failure.
Для кого-то это потому, что меня бросил папа.
The exact same things happen to both people.
Такие вещи происходят с многими людьми.
But one of them used the past to make a powerful future,
Но кто-то использует свой путь для того, чтобы сделать сильное будущее.
and one of them used the past to justify a bad failure.
А кто-то использует для того, чтобы оправдать неудачи.
And the amazing thing about successful people as a coach that I've worked with, and when I coach people, is teaching them how to change the story that they tell themselves about the exact same set of facts.
Я учу людей, как рассказывать истории про самих себя.
And I sat down with a lot of those cadets who had problems and taught them how to change the story they told themselves about their lives.
Я рассказываю про то, каким образом приносить эти истории по своей жизни.
And your job as a business owner and as a marketer is to show people that with your help, if they invest in what you're offering, if they buy your products, that you can help them change their lives.
И ваша работа как маркетолога, как владельца бизнеса, показать, что с помощью истории могут изменить свою жизнь.
You can take the bad circumstances that they've encountered and turn that into a positive.
Вы можете перевернуть плохие обстоятельства в положительные моменты.
And this is what we're going to talk about. The hero's journey,
Сейчас мы поговорим о путешествии героя,
how to make the hero's journey into your offers,
как его включить в ваши офферы,
and finally, how to tell great stories through the art of storytelling.
и каким образом рассказывать эти великолепные истории.
So the first thing is the hero's journey is this literary construct around every successful work of literature, art, myth, or religion ever told.
Собственно, это сам путь героя.
And there's 12 steps in a hero's journey for any great story that is popular.
И у вас есть 12 шагов для любого героя, который популярен.
It starts at the top with the known world.
Он начинается сверху.
And how many of you have seen Star Wars?
Сколько из вас видело Star Wars?
Okay, so at the beginning, when Luke is on the planet and doesn't know anything, that is the known world. At the beginning, when Luke is on his home planet and doesn't know anything, that is the known world.
Вначале, когда Лукас не знал ничего, он был только на своей планете, это называется незнание мира.
And then there's a call to adventure, like R2-D2 bringing Princess Leia to him.
И это называется, собственно, своим путешествием. Он прошел и нашел принцессу Лею.
And then they go on a great adventure, and you have mentors along the way.
А потом они отправились в путешествие,
And if you think about Luke, he had Yoda.
и у него был йога.
Little green guy, Yoda.
Yoda.
Yes, not yoga, Yoda. Okay? And then you have this great challenge, which is a near-death experience. Literally called the death and rebirth. And then you have the return, which is called the atonement. And if you think about what is the world's most successful popular religion, Christianity, Jesus literally dies and is born again. And all the great stories and all the great movies have this crisis where people start an adventure and then they reach a crisis and they get through it. And as a business owner in your marketing, if you can understand the stages of people's development along the thing that you help them with, whether it's health or business or finances or family, whatever you're helping them with, then you can really unlock the potential that they have.
Если вы поймете все ступени в этом графике, если вы поймете все обстоятельства, с которыми могут столкнуться ваши герои, то вы достигнете успеха.
And this is a man named Peter Sage, who I'll talk to you about a little bit later. And he was a very successful business coach.
И это самый известный и успешный бизнес-коуч. Мы о нем поговорим немножко позже.
We took him from just a couple $100,000 a year to 1.8 million per year in 10 months.
На протяжении 10 месяцев мы пришли к большому результату в заработках.
But we made a mistake, which I'll show you later, where we tried to make him into a hero.
Но мы совершили одну ошибку, про которую я скажу вам позже.
We tried to make him into Luke Skywalker.
Мы попытались сделать из него героя Люка Скайуокера.
And it didn't work.
И это сработало.
We should have made him into Yoda.
Мы должны были сделать из него Йоду.
And when we made that change,
Если бы мы сделали эту перемену,
it worked.
то он заработал.
The great temptation when you learn about the hero's journey
Самые важные пункты, которые нужно выучить про историю героя,
is to make it all about your own story.
что вы должны сделать это вашей собственной историей.
But don't make that mistake, because I made it before.
Но не совершайте тех ошибок, которые я совершила раньше.
And if you look at the hero's journey, it actually completely maps out onto the traditional phases of human development through a problem.
Если вы посмотрите на маркетинговую историю героя, то вы увидите, что она поделена на 12 частей.
There's 5 levels of awareness in marketing that match exactly the first 5 stages of the hero's journey.
Есть 5 ступеней осведомленности маркетинга.
And this is from a famous book by a man named Claude Hopkins called Scientific Advertising.
И это из известной книжки.
People start out completely unaware that they even have a problem.
Люди начинают совершенно не осознавая, что у них есть проблема.
First of all, they're like me when I built my first website. They didn't know they had a bad website.
Они, как я, когда у меня был плохой веб-сайт, они даже не понимают, что у них.
Most people don't know what bad code is like.
Многие люди не знают, что у них плохой код.
But everyone in Ukraine does.
Но в Украине все знают.
And then they become aware that they have a problem, which is step 2, call to adventure. I have a problem, I should probably fix this.
Потом они понимают, что у них есть проблема, и, возможно, им стоит с ней справиться.
I need to find good code. I need to make clean code, very good code.
Мне нужно написать правильный код, чистый.
But they have no idea where to go to get help.
Но где они могут найти помощь, они не знают.
And then they become aware of a solution.
Потом они понимают, что есть решение проблемы.
I can actually find people in other countries who are great at development.
Наверное, у меня можно найти людей в других странах, которые крутые разработчики.
So they start looking.
И они начинают поиски.
And then they become aware of your solution.
И они находят ваше решение.
Hey, Ukraine is a great place for outsourced code. It's way better than India.
Украина — это хорошее место для того, чтобы заказывать код.
I've worked with Indian developers. Sorry if you're from India. And then they decide to invest in your services as step 5. They decide on your solution. They invest in your software.
Они понимают, что они могут инвестировать в ваши сервисы, в ваши решения.
And the first time people pay you money is when I call they commit to the change or they cross the threshold.
И первый момент, когда люди платят вам деньги, это они вкладывают в перемены.
Because paying someone from another country to develop your code is an adventure.
Платить кому-то в другой стране за то, чтобы делали вам код, это действительно приключение.
Long Skype calls at weird hours.
Длинные скайп-колы, странные часы,
Language barriers.
барьеры в языке.
Bad scope of work.
Не очень хороший скоп задач.
A crisis where the code doesn't work.
Кризисные моменты, когда код не работает.
And it can feel like a near-death experience.
И вы чувствуете, что у вас смертельный опыт.
And you have to help them through that.
И вам нужно помочь им справиться с этим.
So this is how we map the hero's journey.
Вот так мы строим карту путешествия героя.
And this is actually a client of mine who teaches relationship coaching.
И это мой клиент, который обучает отношениям с клиентом.
And at the beginning, a free offer, like a free video series or a free trial on your software, is the call to adventure.
Вы можете увидеть, что первый пункт — это free offer.
And then most people refuse the call because they never pay you money.
Но много людей отказываются от него, потому что они не хотят платить им деньги.
And then you have meeting with the mentor, usually by Skype,
Потом у вас, скорее всего, встреча с ментором,
where they talk to you and you tell them how bad their code really is.
на которой вы рассказываете про то, какой хороший ваш код.
And then they decide to pay you.
И они решают платить.
And that could be your main offer of some initial assessment of your code, some strategy, a paid audit. It can be a lot of things.
Потом идет main offer.
For this love coach, it was a workshop, a 3-day workshop.
Для этого лайф-коуча это был воркшоп.
But that initial offer is not what is going to help them go all the way through the adventure.
Но этот оффер это не то, что поможет им пройти через все путешествие.
That's step 5, but you have to get them through step 8, which is the ordeal, death, and rebirth.
Это шаг 5, но вам нужно перейти к шагу 8.
So for you, as you think about your main offer, which people are going to buy because it's a reasonable price,
Вам нужно думать о вашем главном оффере.
you,
Люди его купят.
you need to think about that big offer that's going to help them go through the whole hero's journey.
Вам нужно подумать про этот огромный оффер, который заставит их пройти все это путешествие.
So for this relationship coach, he has a workshop for 3 days,
Для этого случая это был 3-дневный воркшоп,
which changes the way you think about relationships.
который меняет ваше сознание и то, что вы думаете о отношениях.
But then he creates a year-long coaching program to help you change your behavior.
Но потом он создал длительную программу, которая поможет вам поменять ваше поведение.
And then finally, when you figure out your offer structure, you have to construct what I call chain of beliefs, which are the things people need to believe in order to invest in your product.
И эти все ступени — это то, что должны верить люди, чтобы дойти до самой главной для покупки оффера.
And this is what we spend most of our time doing in our strategy workshops.
И это то, на что мы тратим больше всего времени на наших воркшопах.
Is writing this story.
Написать эту историю.
Figuring out the offers people need to invest in
Понять, какие офферы будут актуальны для людей,
to live their own hero's journey.
чтобы они прожили свою историю своего героя.
People will pay you when they believe that you'll give them a better future.
Люди заплатят вам, если они поверят, что вы дадите им лучшее будущее.
People will pay you when they feel like you're going to make them the hero they want to be.
Они заплатят вам, если поверят, что вы сможете создать героя, которым они будут быть.
When they think you're their Yoda.
Если они подумают, что вы Йода.
So I'm going to close this before we take a break, and I want to inspire you with the art of storytelling.
Я хочу вас вдохновить искусством сторителлинга.
This is a man that we were interviewing with Ryan Spanger, and it's one of my favorite pictures from our trip.
Это самая любимая картинка из нашего путешествия. Это человек, которого мы интервьюировали.
And if you notice in our videos, every shot we have, the person is in focus, and everything else is out of focus.
Человек в фокусе, если вы видите на картинке, а все остальное размыто.
And most people make a mistake of putting the background in focus with some logo or something in the background, and it draws your eyes away from the person rather than focusing on the person.
Самая главная ошибка людей – это то, что они фокусируются не на человеке, а на бэкграунде.
And this is done through great camera work and lighting. And the next thing I want to talk about are 3 stories you have to tell. The first story is what you say. And to get a 15-minute video, we will spend an entire day interviewing someone. Because we've done the strategy, we know what we want to hear. But we make them say it over and over again until we hear exactly the right emotion and the right words. And then we go back and edit that story. The first and most important story is what you say. The words and the emotions. The second story is the music. And this is a composer for our company that I've hired named Marek Ivaskevich. And my company is named James Cook Media, and my name is not James. It's named after my little brother who passed away 4 years ago. And he was a composer also. My brother was a composer also. And he was always worried he would never have work. And one of the great privileges I have now is to employ composers who write custom music for our videos. Because what would Star Wars be without the music? It would be nothing. And the same thing with our videos. Bobby had a custom composed music for his video. The sound and the music is almost more important than the spoken story because it tells you how you should feel. It gives you the emotion. It amplifies the emotion. And then the final part is what I call the visual story, which is an example here. So connect with you. It's a war, it's an arms race to tell better stories that make people trust and connect with you. The rise of Facebook and social media has only amplified the ease with which great ideas great stories can spread wildfire. It's going to be a battle of stories. The ones that survive
in the publishing world are certainly going to be the ones who become the trusted places where stories are great and curated, and stuff that's dishonest and harmful and not useful is really thrown to the side. So you have to surf that wave and stay ahead of this demand, this craving for better stories, better authenticity, truth that people can believe. The irony of the digital age is it's never been easier to get your story out there, but it's never been harder to get people to listen or to care.
In just 1 minute, what that video does is it tells you so many things that I don't want to say about my agency. I don't want to have to say in my videos who I am. I don't want to talk about my story. I don't want to talk about how great my team is. I don't want to talk about how great my cameras are, my cameramen. And I don't want to talk about all the clients that we have, because I believe that it's not about us, it's about the people we're trying to help. But we all know that stuff's important. So in 1 minute, with just that footage, we've been able to handle all of these questions about, am I credible? Well, yes, because I'm clearly teaching people who've paid to be there. We have great camera work. We have people who are truly working very hard on a strategy. And the amount of storytelling we were able to do in those short images handles so many things. It gives you so much credibility. And it allows you to tell a story while they're listening to the other story and they're feeling the music and the emotion. So you have 3 stories that you tell all at once. And that video had music that was custom written to match the images. It also had a voiceover, which gave a message. But the most important part of that video, and what we cut that video for, was just for the images. And we overlaid everything else on top of it. So that's how the 3 stories work together: the visual, the spoken, and the musical story. And finally, I'm going to end before the break here with an example of our old friends AppZoomi, the software development house, which I think you can all relate to. Now, Łukasz was so extreme that, unlike Bobby, he refused to get on camera at all. That video where I'm sitting next to him was actually a video he had to shoot, and he made me sit in the picture with him, and I did most of the talking. It was a short video, and it wasn't for anything to do with sales. It was a short video in his funnel. But for his main video, he said, I don't even want to be in the video. So we actually created a 34-minute documentary about a case study of one of his clients in Berlin that they held, where we interviewed the client and we interviewed his project manager, Asha, and some of his developers, including a Ukrainian tester who was working in Poland. And it really turned out well, and it showed me that the less that you're in your own video, actually, probably the better. Actually, I think I'm in my own videos a bit too much, and my goal is to work my way out of those videos and put more and more of the clients in our own videos. So I'm going to show you this quick 3-minute trailer from that 34-minute video. But that 34-minute video, when I showed it to people in my coaching group who needed developers, they all came to me when they finally needed developers a year later, half a year later, and said, hey, what was that company that you showed me that video about? I said, well, there's plenty of companies. They're like, no, that video sold me, and I want to speak to them only. In fact, I want to work with Asha, that project manager in that video, because I could tell she's amazing, and I trust her. And that one video, even though it hasn't been put out as a lot of advertisement, has personally closed some deals for him that I know of people that I've sent to him. So I'm going to show you a quick sample of that before we have our break.
What we saw that when parcels have to be sent very quickly, within a couple of hours. There are only very few providers that could do that at competitive prices. Therefore, we decided to go into this very specific segment.
We got 2-3 investors from faculty, and the majority of the rest were really just colleagues we studied with.
In order to get our partners on board, which are Flixbus and Leafreef, as well as additional investments, we had to show that within a certain period of time we would be able to get up and running a fully functional platform that had integration with our partners. And this is how we got in touch with Atsumi, and within actually I think 2 days we decided to kick this project off with Atsumi, and in more or less 10 days we managed to build the entire platform, everything we needed, and this platform is still being used today, so it was a very successful project.
David is my favorite because he was the first who came here with great challenge, where it was like Mission Impossible. We got a lot of tasks, we got very little time, very limited time for completing them, and it seems like he needs heroes, and we became them.
The different type of expertise that was offered to me from the very beginning, from specialized backend to front end to testing, user interface and whatever was needed was already there, and I did not expect that. I thought it would be just a couple of 2, maybe 3 developers that would do everything. At the end, there was a big team of I think up to 8 or 9 people that started working on this project for 10 days, some of them even over the weekend. Before going to Boston, it was more like go big or go home. So either works or we just stop doing it and focus on something else in life. So it was my expectations were higher, but I think that the outcome was better than expected and exceeded. So the project exceeded my expectation.
If someone was considering hiring Atsumi, I could say from my personal experience, absolutely, go for it.
They really embraced the project, tried to understand it, and went more than once the extra mile to get things done and react to unexpected situation. And I really enjoyed also working with the entire team. So that's why I'm very happy and would definitely recommend Atsumi to anyone.
That's Łukasz right there. Łukasz on the far right. Okay, so you've all earned a break, and I'll give it to you. So we'll have some coffee for about 10 minutes, and after this we're going to go over 2 things, which is exactly how to map out an entire funnel, and finally this lean startup approach to marketing, which we developed, called the minimum viable funnel.
После этого мы поговорим о том, как построить карту и каким образом сделать воронку, которая будет самым ключевым поинтом в маркетинговой компании.
Okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes.
Через 10 минут.
Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about is the most critical phase after you understand the story and you write that story is actually mapping out the hero's journey, the digital journey that people need to take. And this is the funnel. And it amazes me how many marketers do this. Okay. What amazes me is how many people don't do this before they take money from companies. They don't map out the entire journey.
То, что меня удивляет больше всего, то, что люди не планируют путешествия, диджитал путешествия перед тем, как они берут деньги у клиентов.
And this is fundamental, because if you write a great story, if you tell a great story and no one listens to it, it's not a real story.
Это не история, если вы написали ее и ее никто не слушает, никто не читает.
They have this saying in America, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody hears it, did it really fall? I know. They say in America, if a tree falls down and no one hears it, did it really fall? If you tell a story and no one hears it, it doesn't matter. And that's the great challenge, is getting people to actually listen to your story.
И это вызов заставить людей послушать вашу историю.
So I'm going to show you exactly how we do it at James Cook Media.
Я покажу, как это мы делаем.
Because I'm just like all of you in Ukraine.
Я как вы в Украине.
Aside from I don't speak good Russian or Ukrainian.
Не только не разговариваю по-русски, по-украински.
I live in Poland.
Живу в Польше.
I have a staff of Polish, Ukrainians, English, people from all over the world.
В моей компании работают поляки, украинцы, американцы, англичане.
And because we live in a part of the world that's got amazing talent for good value,
И мы живем в Польше, где много талантов, которые принесут вам пользу, прибыль.
we can charge good money, but it doesn't seem that expensive to people in New York and London and really expensive places.
Мы можем зарабатывать хорошие деньги, работая с Нью-Йорком, с Америкой, с Великобританией.
So I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing.
Я покажу то, что мы делаем.
I'm selling marketing services.
Я продаю маркетинг.
You're probably selling IT services.
Скорее всего, вы работаете в IT и продаете.
And we're taking advantage of the price differences.
И у нас есть преимущество в разнице цен.
I pay my people very well.
Я плачу своим людям очень хорошо.
I still charge very reasonable prices.
Я требую хорошие, но разумные цены.
60 euros an hour.
60 евро в час.
Which would normally cost Americans in New York 120 to 180 per hour.
А в Америке это стоит 120-180.
Everybody wins.
Каждый выигрывает.
My employees,
И мои сотрудники, и я,
our company,
и наша компания,
and our clients.
и наши клиенты.
It's the exact same business model you all have.
Это такая же модель, которую вы получите.
This is actually a picture of my first $1 million funnel map.
Это картинка моей первой воронки,
For my triathlon business.
которая основа моего бизнеса.
Which I took from 0 to 1.6 million in 16 months.
С помощью которой я заработала свои первые деньги на протяжении 16 месяцев.
The next business I worked on, which I'll show you a video from in a little while, went from 0 to 1.8 million in 10 months.
Следующее видео, которое я вам покажу, мы заработали $800 миллионов.
And then I got tired of doing it for other people. Then I got tired of making other people money. So I'll show you my own funnel right now for our own services that is on its way to making €1 million. Done it 3 different times in 3 different industries. Selling high-priced services every time. Our lowest priced product is €2,000. Our main product is €7,500, a workshop. And I have some clients who found me online who pay me anywhere between 50 to 100,000 euros. And they've never heard of me before. So this is how we do it. And the clicker doesn't work. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so first there's 3 stages to mapping your hero's digital journey. And the first one is entering their story, which is where you meet someone where they are and you show them you understand their story.
Три ступени для выстраивания карты вашей истории. И первое — это, собственно, выстраивание самой истории и введение ее.
The second part is once you've shown them you understand their story, you show them how to write a better story. The third part is where you offer to become their Yoda. And then finally, all this storytelling is great, but the math has to work. And I'm sure as engineers you would all appreciate math. So first of all, this is the ad that we've been running for 11 months. We've not changed this video. We've not changed the Facebook text next to the ad. It's 11 minutes long. Way too long, they say. But it's had 1.5 million views on Facebook. And I'll show you what the numbers are in a little bit. But here's how the ad starts. Notice the title at the top. Why nobody cares about your business. I've spoken to a lot of customers who told me that's exactly why they started watching my video. And here's the video. In fact, this is how Alex found me online and invited me to Dnepre. Nobody cares about his business. Hold on. Oops. That didn't work. No one cares about my video. Oh.
No. Yeah, okay.
I'm scared to press that one. Is that right?
Problem with internet. Проблемы с интернетом.
Is what?
Проблемы с доступом к казино.
Is it the internet?
It's problem with internet.
Oh. Oops. Oh, that's working.
Gary Vaynerchuk says it all the time, and you know he is right. There has never been a better time in human history to get into business. It wasn't until even just recently that even in the digital age, the cost of setting up your own business has gone down to next to nothing. But buying server hosting is dirt cheap. Building your own website you can do with simple software off the shelf. Setting up a Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter account, it's all free. There's never been a human time in history like this where if you
turn off the other music
that you believe will make a difference in people's lives, that you can connect with them anywhere in the world and they will pay you to solve.
Sorry, there's another soundtrack going on. That's not mine. Okay, that was not my music. But okay.
Gary Vaynerchuk says it all the time. Gary Vaynerchuk says it all the time, and you know what? He is right. There has never been a better time in human history to get into business. It wasn't until even just recently that even in the digital age, the cost of setting up your own business has gone down to next to nothing. But buying server hosting is dirt cheap. Building your own website you can do with simple software off the shelf, setting up a Facebook page, YouTube channel, Twitter account, it's all free. There's never been a human time in history like this, where if you have an idea that you believe will make a difference in people's lives, that you can connect with them anywhere in the world and they will pay you to solve their problems. And that's the magic of the digital age, and that's the good news. But the bad news is there's never been a harder time in history to get people to care. Nobody cares about your business. You know the feeling. When you first get into business, one of the first things you do is you build your website, and you go out and you research all your competition, and then you go to a designer, and then you put the site out there, and nobody's going to. You're looking on Google Analytics, and there's almost no visits. And even when there are visits, it's not nearly enough to make a difference. Then you go out and you build your Facebook page, and you put all this great posts and videos and memes, and no one's liking your Facebook. You can't even get your mom to like your Facebook page. I mean, it's embarrassing. Then you go out on YouTube, you spend all this time, you hire a videographer, and you make these amazing videos that are gonna help people, and you think that's gonna make the difference, and then no one's watching your videos. And then you buy ads on Facebook and Google, and no one's buying. So you have traffic, but no one's buying, and it's so demoralizing. I've been there when I started my first business over 10 years ago. I remember spending all this time on my website, spending a couple $1,000s on AdWords, and then literally not a single person bought. And all these things are important. You definitely need a website, you need landing pages, you need emails, you need Facebook page, you need YouTube ads, or YouTube page, you need a Twitter account, you need Instagram, you need all of that, and it all needs to work together. But really, none of that stuff matters unless you get one thing right. Story. Story matters. Because if you have a product or service, ultimately nobody's going to buy it unless it does one thing. The definition of sales is taking someone from a place that they are right now, whether it's a place of extreme pain.
So that was the ad which we've put out, and for the last 10 months, only that ad has been running all over Europe, 1.5 million views, and that's collected all of our new customers for us. I don't outbound call anyone. I don't do any of that. I just wait for people to come to me. And that ad, the beginning which I just showed you, is me entering their story, where I'm describing the pain that they have, that no one cares about their website, that even their mom doesn't pay attention to it, which is pretty funny, because it's true. And when you can't connect with someone at the beginning like that, you're never going to make this right. So you have to start out your ads not talking about yourself or how good you are or who you are, but who they are and what they think and what they feel, and show them you get it. And yes, I'm telling that story that, yes, I've been speaking at conferences, and I obviously have a good agency, because that visual story is going. And then you hear the music that the composer's written, which is obviously amplifying those emotions. And that worked. And let me show you how it worked after people watched our ad. And this is a map of our funnel. And at the beginning is what I call entering the story, the 3 phases, and that's the Facebook ad. Then you have writing the journey, then finally becoming Yoda. And I map all this out on like architect paper. And we have this Facebook ad, which is our main ad, but you can point back to your main page from anywhere. And people come in, and they go to our landing page, and they can watch some preview videos. They can watch testimonial videos. They can click on this, and I ask them these questions, who they are, so I can segment them and talk to them specifically. They give me their email. And then I make them watch a set of videos, 4 videos actually, a lot like this talk. And then they watch the video, and only after they watch the video do I give them access to the next talk. And why am I doing that? Well, I don't particularly want to talk to people until they're ready, and I've educated them on what marketing is the way I see it. Because if you don't buy into the power of storytelling, it's going to be a useless conversation, because I don't want to work with people who don't care about story. And you see all these email reminders and Facebook ad reminders, and the only purpose of all of our emails and Facebook ads is to bring people back to that. And finally here, I have a 5th bonus video where I show them our products and let them watch that video where I'm describing all the products, and they can click like a choose your own adventure and which product they want to go. And based on the product they go to, I'm triggering different emails and different ads to remind them to go back to that product. And it all works together to get people to voluntarily apply to speak to us, because they are grateful for the type of content that I've just delivered here tonight, and they feel educated, and they buy into the method, and they willingly give us their number, tell us about themselves, tell us their income, tell us their greatest problems, and they enter in their details. Oh, I'm trying to find my number there. Okay. And they apply to speak to us. And as soon as they apply to speak to us, I take them to a page, and this is the really cool part, where they can actually, I have a video where I say, hey, why don't you schedule time to speak to us right now? And they put their number in. Over 50% of the people who give us their number right away come into the diary. So they're actually giving us their number, and then that's our calendar. We have a bunch of people lining up to speak to us. And we just call them. My sales team calls them. And then I speak to them if they're really qualified and they want to buy a high-priced product. And then they come in, we put them in our deal board in HubSpot, and we prioritize them based on how far they are, and we move them along. And we know exactly how much money is due in based on the percentages of our closing. And it's a system. Just like a developer would build a system for something, we have a sales system, and it's engineered so that there's no doubt about what we're doing and how much we can spend because we know our math. And then we have a pipeline where it actually projects how much money is going to come in. And that's the process that we do. And that's our digital journey. And it blows my mind that people don't do this. Go ahead.
So that was the video which was...
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Это видео, которое транслировалось на Фейсбуке на протяжении 10 месяцев. Оно набрало 1,5 миллиона просмотров. И именно благодаря этому видео компания больше ничего не делала, то есть запускала только эту рекламу. Благодаря этому видео сейчас в календаре очень много назначенных встреч, назначенных колов. Это видео привело в основной поток клиентов в эту компанию, и именно благодаря ему сейчас сотрудничает James Cook Media с несколькими проектами.
It blows my mind that people don't do this before they run a marketing campaign.
Для меня непонятно, почему люди не строят такие музыкальные видео, которые вызывают эмпатию, которые вызывают чувства.
You would never develop a website without a plan.
Вы никогда не разработаете веб-сайт без плана.
Why would you ever do something in marketing without a plan?
Почему вы делаете маркетинг без плана?
Before we do anything, we build an entire plan like the one you just saw.
Прежде чем мы занимаемся чем-то, прежде чем мы приступаем к чему-то, мы выстраиваем план.
Now, do the numbers work? We have 29,000 people who've signed up for our free videos. It cost us 78,000 euros. And that's a lot of money. But we know that 42% of the people who give us their email watch the first video. And then 61% of the people who watch the first video watch the second. And it ends up that almost 17% of all the people who give us their email watch all 4 videos.
И около 17% посмотрели наши все видео.
2 hours, just like this talk.
2 часа всего лишь разговора.
And it's because we have emails and ads reminding them to finish.
И у нас есть имейлы и контакты людей, чтобы закончить.
Like Alexander here watched all the videos.
Саша посмотрел все видео.
And when I emailed all the people in Ukraine, telling them I was in Kiev, he remembered me.
И я попросил всех людей в Украине про то, что я буду здесь.
And he invited me to Dnepre.
И он пригласил меня в Днепр.
And we know that we've generated 63 customers out of these leads.
Мы сгенерировали 63 заказчика с помощью этих видео.
And that's generated over 340,000 euros of revenue.
И сгенерировали около 300 тысяч гривен.
And we're projecting it's actually going to be worth over 500,000.
И это принесло прибыль более чем 100 тысяч.
Based on our projections of how much customers spend over their life with us.
Это основывается на том, сколько людей провело с нами время, посмотрев наши продукты.
So that's how a funnel works, but that's a complicated funnel.
Это тяжелая наука, но она работает.
So I'm going to show you what you could do that's very easy compared to what we've done.
Я покажу вам, что вы сможете сделать, это очень просто.
And I call it the minimum viable funnel.
Я называю это средней воронкой,
Because I've actually built funnels that don't work.
потому что я не строю воронки, которые не работают.
And it's really bad when you spend 400, 500 hours on a funnel and it doesn't work.
И это нехорошо, если вы проводите 400 часов для воронки, и она не работает.
So we've developed this idea to help people build a funnel for a lot less of a cost to see if their idea is going to work.
Поэтому мы разработали свой продукт, свой воронку, который может помочь людям понять.
And this came from working with Peter Sage.
И это пришло из работы с Питером.
He was the business coach that tried to be Luke Skywalker and not Yoda.
Он был бизнес-оунером, который работал как со Скайуокером,
And we had a video that was very well produced that didn't work. And then we actually created a second video which wasn't well produced in terms of the value of it, and it did work. And the only thing we changed was the story. And if you look at the picture, even the picture's worse. Bad lighting. No extra footage, no great music. But the video worked because he was speaking to the business owner. And I'll play just a minute of this video because it's a video that I did before my own, which was the one that was very successful and made $1.8 million. And this video was talking about why do businesses fail. And this video was talking about why do businesses fail. And you'll see he did exactly what I did in my video, which is he talked to people about what they're afraid of.
Businesses fail. There's only one. Why do businesses fail? There's only one reason. only one reason why your business will fail. But let me tell you what the reasons aren't. It's not your business partner, it's not your product or service, it's not your staff, it's not your spouse, it's not your competition or your price point, it's not even the government or the interest rates. In fact, we'll probably hear moving forward from here, oh, it's Brexit. Let's look at different examples of companies that have grown through adversity. Big companies like Google that started after the dot-com crash, or Facebook that grew through the global recession. No, the only reason businesses will fail is because of you, the business owner. My name's Peter Sage, and I've spent the last 3 decades nearly as a very active entrepreneur with many global success stories and many global failures. And I've come to terms with being able to own all of that. I'm here to say that if you can't own your successes and failures, then you can't move forward. Are you still with me? Great, because on this video what I really want to do is offer you some advice on how to select the best business coaching for yourself. What do you want to look for in the minefield?
So you notice what he did was the exact same thing. He spoke to a business owner's greatest fear. My avatar cares about marketing, so I'm not talking about business failure, I'm talking about failure in marketing. But he's a business coach and he speaks to business owners' fear of failure overall. So you as an IT company need to speak to people's failure of their technology not working. And all of these have the same thing, which is just meeting people where they are. And you see, that is not great production quality compared to my own video. But it worked because it was speaking to someone and telling them the story that they know in their head they're living. And he's saying to them, it's not this excuse or that excuse, and everyone has their excuses. He's saying, no, it all comes back to you, a business owner, and that's like a punch in the eyes. And we all know as a business owner that that's true, but we like to make excuses when we're not doing as well as we need to be. And when Peter did that, so many people, thousands of people, said to me when they bought his product, that just really grabbed me, and it told me that you were onto something, and I listened to every word he said after that. And then he goes on and he describes the different things that can help people, and he offers them his free video series. And the next thing that we did after this video, which was really powerful, was, I'm going to let the translator talk. Go ahead.
В видео сам герой, он рассказывает, он обращается к страхам владельцев бизнеса, он разговаривает напрямую с ними. И какой совет из этого видео, обратиться именно к страхам вашего кастомера, к страхам вашего клиента, подчеркнуть их. И вот эта картинка, она показывает статистику.
And before we move on, I want to show you how big a difference testing can make. And I know you all love this as IT people, how big details matter.
Я знаю, что вам, ребятам, которые работают в IT, эти детали понравятся.
The exact same ad ran on the left and the right, except for the design of the ad.
Это одна и та же реклама, справа и слева. Единственное, что в одной есть дизайн, а в другой нет.
And Facebook lets you do this square video format rather than this other format.
Facebook позволяет вам делать этот квадрат черный.
And when you put a great headline on the top and you test those headlines,
Если вы поставите заголовок наверх,
and you put the words at the bottom,
вниз разместите слова,
you get a huge jump in your conversion rate.
вы получите большой рывок в вашей конверсии.
Especially when you're like me and you advertise in foreign countries in English.
Особенно если, как я, обратитесь к иностранным, другим странам.
I run ads all over Europe in English.
Я говорил в Европе на английском языке.
Because I know that my avatar probably speaks English.
Потому что я знаю, что мой аватар говорит на английском.
But their English might not be that good and they benefit from reading also.
Но хорош.
Or they're at work and they don't want people to hear them watching a video. Or they don't want people to hear them watching a video. So they watch it with just the subtitles. And we had double the watch time on the video on the right, same video. More likes, more comments, and more shares. And a 38% decrease in the cost per lead. Instead of $4, it was $2.50. So the next step after the Facebook ad in a minimum viable funnel is, the first step in a funnel is you have to get the Facebook ad right. If you can't get that right, nothing else matters. This ad, when we did it, dropped our cost per lead from $10 down to $2. It made all the difference in his campaign. So the first thing you have to do is get your ad right. The next thing you need to do is simply get people to give you their email. You need to offer them something valuable in order to get their email. But I offer a free video series, which is expensive to make and takes a lot of time. So what we did with Peter was we actually offered a quiz that I would recommend that you use as a self-assessment for your avatar, where they can tell you about themselves. And they tell you who they are. And then they answer a series of questions about themselves. Because everyone loves to hear about themselves more than anything. So right after people gave us their email, we presented them this quiz. Over 40% of them gave us their phone number just to start the quiz. So they loved giving us information just to tell us about themselves. And these questions are designed to get them to tell you how good or how bad they are at the things you know they need to do to be successful. And then we made personalized answers by video where we told them exactly what they told us and how they can fix it, how they can get better. And right there on the page, we also made them an offer to buy his product. And some people paid him right away, only after taking the quiz and not watching any of his videos. 2,500 pounds. It was amazing. So what we're recommending is this idea of what we call a minimum viable funnel.
Что мы рекомендуем, это идея про минимальную жизнеспособную воронку.
Which is to build a strategy first,
Стратегия идет первым пунктом,
then build a minimum viable funnel.
потом выстроить саму жизнеспособную воронку,
Step 3, test it with paid traffic.
настроить бесплатный трафик.
If it works,
Если это работает, то
keep going, and if not, rebuild it.
продолжать, если нет, то просто перестроить его.
And when you get good results, which is covering your ad spend with your revenue,
Если у вас получается хороший результат, который покрывает ваши расходы,
then you build the full funnel like the one that we have.
потом вы строите полную воронку.
And then you add content marketing,
И контент-маркетинг,
SEO,
SEO.
and it all works together.
И это все вместе работает.
So this is how it works. It's a lot simpler than the other funnel. You focus on the Facebook ad only.
Вы фокусируетесь на Facebook в рекламе,
Then you ask for the email.
потом вы спрашиваете email,
You're promising an assessment where they can tell you about themselves.
обещаете то, что люди могут вам рассказать про себя,
And then you make customized answers. Just 4 is fine
и кастомизируете ответы.
for one avatar. Then you email them their results and send them to the video.
Потом вы собираете результаты и с помощью имейлов отправляете им видео.
And then you offer them a chance to give you their number
Даете им шанс дать телефон
and schedule a call.
и назначить звонок.
And the whole time you're reminding them with emails and ads to do the next step.
И постоянно вы напоминаете им о следующем шаге.
And that's what we recommend for the minimum viable funnel.
Вот что мы рекомендуем для минимальной жизнеспособной воронки.
And this is exactly what we do in a 6-day workshop in Warsaw.
Это то, что мы делаем на протяжении 6 дней на воркшопе в Варшаве.
We actually take business owners from all over the world and sit them down and build their Facebook ad, their quiz, and their answer videos and their offer all in our software in 6 days.
Мы приглашаем бизнесменов по всему миру и создаем с ними видео, создаем с ними квиз, создаем с ними письма
In English.
на английском.
If you really need Ukrainian or Russian, I have those people who can help you with that.
Если вам нужно на русском или на украинском, у меня есть люди, которые вам могут помочь.
Because my best project manager is a Ukrainian.
Мой самый лучший проектный менеджер украинец.
She's really tough though. If you don't do that, we also have online education where you can watch all of our videos and get remote support from us.
У нас есть онлайн-образование, где вы можете посмотреть видео и получить онлайн-поддержку от нас.
And if you want to pay me for my time, which is a lot,
Если хотите заплатить за мое время, это дорого.
I'll do it with you and for you,
Я сделаю это для вас и с вами.
where I personally build your strategy and help you with your videos privately.
И я лично выстрою вашу стратегию и помогу вам с видео частным образом.
But that's very expensive.
Это очень дорого.
This is very affordable.
Да, но это очень доступно.
This is even more affordable.
Это даже больше доступно.
This is very expensive.
So you make people understand, right?
Okay, so if you want to sign up for my funnel online, that's the address.
Если хотите подписаться, то вот адрес.
jamescookmedia.com.
jamescookmedia.com, мастер-класс.
If you want to join our podcast, you can listen to that on iTunes.
У нас есть подкасты на iTunes.
Story Matters Podcast.
Story Matters подкаст.
And that's my contact details.
И это мои контакты. Email и Facebook.
Facebook's better, but sometimes I read email.
Facebook лучше. Я не читаю.
So, with that, I'm going to ask Anton if anyone has any questions. Anastasia, can you guys give her a microphone? We only have two.
Just one mic.
Okay.
Okay, I can be loud.
Be loud. Be loud and proud.
Okay.
Tell me your name and where you're from and what you do.
My name is Anastasia. I'm from Dnepre.
But she lives in Warsaw.
I have a question about the heroes. What if you pick up a wrong hero? What if you did your, like you build the picture of your hero, and in the end, with your sales or with your marketing campaign or so on, you're getting information that it's the wrong character that you're targeting?
I've done that before, and it's very sad.
Yeah, no, but maybe, as from your experience, you can advise what are the ways to not do those mistakes in the future.
Almost all marketing campaigns that fail come as a result of either speaking to the wrong avatar with the wrong message, or knowing who your hero is and not offering them the right message. And it's very painful when it happens, and it can cost you a lot of money. The way we try and prevent that is the minimum viable funnel, expensive-wise. Go ahead. I just want to let you translate that. The way we try and prevent this is to do the minimum viable funnel, because you never really know until you test it. Six months ago, I had a campaign that I thought was the best campaign we'd ever done. It was for a former mentor of mine who was an army officer. And we got it wrong. And because I care about all my clients' results, I'm fixing it for him. In fact, we're rebuilding his funnel for free. Because I got that exact thing wrong. We built a product for someone that they didn't want it. So that's why I built this minimum viable funnel workshop, where you can spend a fraction of the money and get answers. But ultimately, you have to test your assumptions. You have to test your assumptions. So you want to do surveys, you want to do sales calls before you try and sell online. But even when you start your online campaign, you want to test what I call the minimum viable funnel. So that's exactly why I built our workshop that way. Because my services are way too expensive for most people to pay for that, and if it doesn't work, I feel bad, and then I end up redoing it for free. And then I lose money. So I don't like doing that. So this is the workshop that I've developed for that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Hello, my name is Sergey.
maybe it's more powerful than email funnels?
Yes and no. Email is still very powerful, but I agree that Messenger can and should go on that funnel map, and we're adding it to ours. So I think Facebook Messenger is going to start to augment email and eventually might replace email in many ways. But everyone still has an email, so why not use it? Everyone is on Facebook, why not do Facebook ads? Everyone's on Google or YouTube, why not do Google and YouTube ads? So it's everything. It should be everything. Because wherever people are, you need to remind them to go back into your funnel.
Был вопрос по поводу того, что выбирать либо email, либо мессенджер. И ответ такой, что можно использовать все пути, и мессенджер, и имейлы, потому что и рекламу на Фейсбуке, чтобы это все привело в воронку и, собственно, привело видом к вам, к вашей компании.
Okay. Yes.
My name is Ivan, I'm founder of mycar.io, and do have two questions. The first one, you didn't mention any prices, so what is the most expensive? That's the first question.
Okay. I charge 5,000 euros a day for my time, and I won't work with anyone until I do a 2-day consult for 10,000 euros. So don't pay for that one. The least expensive one is our workshop, which is 6 days. You get a full funnel for 7,500 euros. It's a great deal because we make you leave with a Facebook ad, quizzes all written in English, and everything. And I actually prefer most people to go through that before I'll work with them at a private level.
And the second question, did you write a scenario for Bobby's clients, or that's just their opinion?
For Bobby's clients, what do you mean we wrote a scenario?
What they should say and other stuff.
No. I did not tell them what to say, I just asked them questions. His video. I didn't even tell them the questions before I asked them. They just were surprised. We don't like actors, we like real reactions.
Thanks.
Okay.
На секундочку, да. Вопрос по поводу денег. 7500 тысяч стоит 6-дневный воркшоп, и 1 день работы личной стоит 5000 евро, но это невозможно, потому что минимум нужно заказывать 2 дня.
And I didn't charge Anton 5,000 euros to come out here. I just love Ukraine, so.
Run away, man.
Меня зовут Сергей.
My name is Sergey.
Днепропетровск.
Днепре.
Личностный брендинг, как вы к нему относитесь, личный брендинг? И в чем вы видите перспективу и тренды 2018 года? Инстаграм или Фейсбук? И как развивать личный брендинг?
How to develop your personal brand? Do you see any perspectives for it? And which channel should you use? Instagram, Facebook, or something else for personal brand?
First of all, I think your personal brand should be focused on who you're trying to help.
В первую очередь, ваш персональный бренд должен быть сфокусирован на том, кому вы хотите помочь.
And I like the people I work with, to not speak about themselves nearly as much as they speak about the people they help.
Я люблю, чтобы люди разговаривали не про то, кто они, а скорее про людей, с кем они говорят.
People don't care about your story until they know you care about theirs.
Людям не интересна ваша история, до тех пор, пока они не узнают, что вы заинтересованы в них.
And I think that's a big part of personal branding, is showing that you care.
И самая важная часть персонального брендинга – показать, что люди вам важны.
But you can also tell your personal story with images of what you do.
Но вы можете рассказывать вашу персональную историю с картинками, что вы делаете.
And that's also very important.
Это тоже важно.
And what channel you should use, it all goes back to who is your hero.
И ваш канал, который вы будете использовать, он должен быть ориентирован на вашего героя.
If they're older, Facebook.
Если старше, то это Facebook.
If they're younger, Instagram.
Если младше, то Instagram.
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
If they're in business, LinkedIn is good.
Если это бизнес-сайт, то лучше LinkedIn.
But also Facebook.
Но Facebook тоже работает.
Everyone in the world is on Facebook in some way.
Каким-то образом каждый человек.
Unless you're in China or Russia, maybe.
Тренды какие 2018 года, что бы вы выделили, какие вот, может, там, харизматичность, может быть, там, сентиментальность, то есть во что уйдет в 2018 году, ну, какие будут направления развития Instagram, Facebook, ну, особенности, какие тренды, особенности личности.
Which trends and which emotions would be the most popular in 2018? Which trends should be used?
It really depends on who you're speaking to. I'm sorry to say that I can't tell you one answer, but I think the only answer is to really understand your audience and understand what emotions they want to know. But the one thing everyone wants, I think, in any business and any line of work is authenticity.
Но я считаю, что в любом бизнесе, в любом направлении, в котором вы будете работать, важно индивидуальность, индивидуальный подход.
Don't try and be anyone but yourself. Because that's what people really want. They want to know who you are, and they don't want it to be fake.
Люди хотят знать вас настоящего, а не фейка.
Спасибо.
Hello, my name is Natalia. I'm wondering, and I also live here, is it possible to make this strategy work without videos, with the help of articles, blog posts, messages, without videos?
Yes and no.
Возможно ли работать без видео, то есть используя только нас?
Yes and no.
И нет.
It can work without video,
Может работать без видео,
but once you find out what's working without video,
но если вы поймете, что он работает без видео,
great video always seems to do better in my experience.
я вам скажу, что хорошие видео, они намного лучше работают с моим опытом.
And that's exactly why we built our workshop, to allow people to get very affordable videos out at a high quality, to get answers quickly about whether their story is going to work.
И на нашем воркшопе мы учим людей, каким образом построить видео, чтобы они работали, чтобы доносить историю человека, героя и аватара.
But if you don't have the budget for that, yes, start without video and write great stories.
Если у вас нет бюджета, то начинайте без видео, пишите хорошие истории.
Use amazing pictures and test the headlines.
Используйте картинки и тестируйте заголовки.
Because story matters whatever format you use.
Потому что история – это самое важное для нас.
And don't be afraid to write long stories. Every time I've tested a short versus a long video, the long seems to win. Every time I've tested a short video and a long video, the long seems to win. And how long does your video need to be?
Сколько он должен длиться?
Long enough.
Довольно, чтобы довольно. Достаточно долго.
Okay.